got to tell you that I truly am excited today. We nominated Congresswoman Miller for, and I want to tell you, her tireless effort in supporting the National Guard and Guard Empowerment Act. Remember that little operation we had going, trying to elevate our service chief to get a seat at the table with the other joint service chiefs. And we were able to do that largely in part because of her efforts. And it was a dogfight, but I would tell you what, unrelenting, she got us into the end zone, and we today, I stand here today, the Chief of the National Guard Bureau is with a seat at the table with the other joint service chiefs, which is huge. So that was just part one. And part two, of course, has been the delaying action that we have so successfully fought once again, in large part, and thank you so much on behalf of all the Air National Guard, not just Michigan, because this affected a lot of people in a lot of states. And I would tell you, once again, her leadership and her relentless, the governor talks about positive relentless action, right there. And just never gives up, stays in the fight, does not accept no. And today we have fought, and it's not over with yet, but we have fought a very successful delaying action. I just can't thank you enough, Congresswoman, for all of your efforts and the efforts you continue every day, and not only for Selfridge, but for the National Guard and the nation, because I think the initiatives that we're taking on are the right thing to do for the nation. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So I want to now introduce Major General retired Gus Hargett, a friend of mine, President of the National Guard Association of the United States, who's going to present the award with me today. And I will tell you, Gus, a former Adjutant General of the great state of Tennessee for 9 years, 47 years in uniform, a great American, a great leader too. We are really blessed and fortunate, Gus, to have your leadership. And I can tell you what, with leaders like Candace Miller and Gus Hargett, how can we do anything but prevail? So, Gus, welcome.
Thanks, Greg. It's great to be in Michigan today. Beautiful night last night. Greg even bought dinner. I've never seen him do that before. And it's always nice to be out of Washington. And I have a saying when I get out of Washington that it's a place where your friends come and go and your enemies multiply. So I'm kind of glad that Candace Miller is my friend in Washington, D.C. So thank you. It is an honor to be here today and be with all of you and to honor Congresswoman Candace Miller, because she has been a true stalwart for the Guard. I came to Washington, took this job almost 3 years ago, and when they talked to me about what my priorities were, one of them was to put the Chief of the Guard Bureau as a voting member on the Joint Chiefs. And I had one of the newspapers up there ask me, said, what do you think your chances are? And I said, well, I think I can pass it in the Senate, but I don't think we can in the House. So we go through this whole process of trying to do it in the House. We get turned down on the NDAA and conference and all the committees and so forth. And we had almost given up, and Congress Lady Miller and Nick Rahal from West Virginia offered an amendment from the floor that passed unanimously. And so then I get a call and said, okay, you said you could pass it in the Senate. What can you do now it's done in the House? So it kind of took us back. So we had a lot of work to do, but we did pass it in the Senate. And then we went through all of the things to get it through conference. And today, the Chief of the Guard Bureau is a voting member of the Joint Chiefs. And I have people ask me all the time, say, well, how important is it that he's a voting member of the Joint Chiefs? And I'm going to take you back to, I went to see Congress Lady Miller after we had passed it in the House. I didn't know who she was, didn't know she was married to Don, and had never even talked to her about being a supporter of this bill. So when I went to see her, I said, so why did you take up our cause? She said, because of your article in the magazine. She said, when I read the article in the magazine, it just made too much sense not to do that. So it's amazing what little things that you do and how they affect members of Congress, and I think she would be the first to tell you that what you say to members of Congress makes a difference. And so I would encourage you to stay connected to your members of Congress. And then there are other members of Congress who will make you a lot of promises and deliver on that. And what I like about Candace Miller is she's not about words, she's about action. And she has been there for us every step of the way. When we got into the Air Guard budget thing, not long after we passed empowerment, she was one of the first people to take up our banner and go forward with the Air Force budget. And so you can see, as John Vadnais said, we have been successful in a delaying action with the Air Force budget. I'll also tell you that it is just that, a delaying action. We have delayed it for 1 year. The Air Force is moving along with the FY14 budget, assuming that the FY13 budget is going to pass like it is. So there's no money in the 14 budget to save anything you got at Selfridge. So I would encourage you to stay connected to your people, make your voice heard, and let's go about doing what's right for the country, as Greg said. And it's my honor now to do this award, because this is our highest award, and we have given this award to presidents, senators, congressmen, and retired civil officers. And it is given to those people for sustained efforts on behalf of the National Guard of the United States and for what's right for our country. And I can't think of anybody more deserving of this award this year than Congress-Lady Candace Miller and Congressman Nick Ray Hall from West Virginia, because without them, we wouldn't have that voice that allows us to talk about those things that are important to you in the state of Michigan and across America. So with that, Congressman Miller, would you join me here and let's present the award? I forgot to say, this award is embryonic for the 13 original colonies of the United States. And each of them has a distinctive uniform of the 13 original militias of those colonies.
Oh my, that is really quite something. Well, you know, I will, first of all, tell you how humbled I am and certainly greatly, personally honored to receive this award from the National Guard. And I always try to remind myself and my staff, many of who are with me here today, that with all the challenges that our nation faces, and we all face those challenges together, the first and foremost responsibility of the federal government and any member of Congress, either in the House or the Senate, is to provide for the common defense. That was in the preamble of our Constitution, right? So national defense. And throughout our nation's history, the foundation of our nation's defense has been the National Guard. And I think that is really vividly demonstrated here with this award, because here you see the 13 colonies, the Minutemen, right? We all remember 1775, Paul Revere riding through the Massachusetts countryside, announcing that the British were coming, and the Minutemen, citizen soldiers, rose up and fired some of the first shots, really, in defense of liberty for a new emerging nation. And throughout every conflict that our nation has been in all these many years of our country, the National Guard has really been at the tip of the spear. They have been involved in all of it. They have just done such a remarkable job, and they're such a critical component of our total defense concept. And that has been, again, demonstrated over and over and over again, particularly in the last decade, with the largest call-up, really, of the National Guard and Reserve since World War II. And I know, being in Afghanistan and Iraq, you run into folks that it was in the high 30 percentile. Every troop that has been participating has been a Guardsman or woman or Reserve. And as I say, they've been involved in every way. And the honor and the bravery, the courage, the professionalism that they exhibit each and every day, 24/7, is always on display for it. So I certainly thank them. I know our country thanks all of them. And as well, I'd like to give a shout out certainly to the families who sacrifice just as much when our men and women are deployed. They are there, they are just as important a component of that, and as well as the employers, particularly for Guard and Reserve. And we certainly see that with the Base Community Council here. the Guard and Reserve components as our folks are deployed. Many of them work for these employers here, and these employers are just right there at the bunkers with our men and women. And so it really is all about team. But we welcome you, General, so much to our beautiful state of Michigan. We were just talking during the dinner hour. His member of Congress is a very good friend of mine. He said, if you talk to Congresswoman Blackburn, I said, I just emailed her about an hour ago. So she's a very good friend of mine, and I'll tell her you were on your best behavior here in Michigan. But we appreciate so much the service that you provide to the nation. And if you can let me be a bit parochial, we are especially proud of our Adjutant General, Greg Vadnais, who does such a remarkable job, and his entire team, certainly not only with the Air National Guard here at Selfridge and Battle Creek, Colonel Thomas and his team and Team Selfridge, but certainly the Army, National Guard, and all of our armories across our state of Michigan. We are so incredibly proud of the help that our National Guards men and women give to the entire, as I say, total force component. So again, my great privilege to be here, and I hope I don't embarrass them, but I'm going to just take a point of personal privilege here today. And I told you a lot of my staff is with me today. I'm one of these folks, think if you can hire a vet, hire a vet. And I brought with me one of my interns who was here a minute ago, and he's moved over here. This is a young fella I met 2006. He was in 82nd Airborne, lost a leg in Iraq and Ramadi. Met him at Walter Reed. Obviously, anytime any one of our soldiers is down, we always do everything we can as an office to talk to him. But he just impressed me so very much. He's back now, taking advantage of the GI Bill. Going to get his degree in criminal defense, and a great American patriot. Let me just stand up for a moment. Josh Farley. So again, thank you so sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I'm just honored and humbled to receive the support. Thank you very much.